Now for Global Business Updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us now. Rotus.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo.
How
Prof.
are you?
Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to all our viewers. Lots to get into. We'll quickly do it as fast as possible. Asia markets were very mixed. You've got China in the green, Korea in the green, Japan in the red, Nifty in the green, Hong Kong in the red. Looks like there's some profit taken after the tech stocks have been rallying in Hong Kong. Australia in the red. Japan released this morning their January trade figures. They actually fell into a deficit. The markets were, I guess they overestimated exports and underestimated imports. So 18.2 billion, that's about 2.7 trillion yen. If we quickly go to the metrics and just look at exactly what made that up. So 2.76 trillion deficits in January. The estimate was also 2.1 trillion deficits. They actually had a surplus in December to the tune of 132 billion yen by $870 million. And you can see there the imports were climbed by 16%, while exports climbed by 7.2%. From there, we still stick with Japan. We go into a trading company that's called Mitsui & Co. And this is, again, talking about the value of mining. Mitsui & Co. counts Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway as one of their big investors. They are a trading company that is involved in business investment, project development, exports, imports, and the like. They are taking a stake in an iron ore project in Western Australia. It's to the tune of a $5.3 billion. That is just the amount of the minority stake. Take a look at the further details of this project. Rio Tinto is the majority shareholder. They own 50% of this project. They did a pre-feasibility study in December 2023, about 70-something million dollars. They are planning to spend about 400 million Australian dollars, about 250 million US dollars over the next 4 to 5 years for this project, because they're making a bet on the demand for steel. So it's a Rhodes Ridge project in Australia, and that 40% stake is worth 5.3 billion. Again, telling you about the value of mining. From there, we quickly go to video games, all right? Sorry, not video games, excuse me. Qatar is planning to invest about $10 billion in India over the next few years. The Emir of Qatar and Narendra Modi, who's been traveling around the world, said they want to deepen their bilateral ties. Qatar's investment fund is going to open an office in India. They haven't given us details on what those investments will be, but we're expecting that to come out later on as time passes. Going to video games now. I don't know how many people remember Niantic. They released Pokemon Go way back in 2016. This was a video game that really boosted augmented reality, where you could be playing Pokemon on your mobile phone, and a Pokemon will appear in your living room and in your office, and you have to go around finding them. It was over 1 billion downloads, I think about 600 million or more in revenue that it brought in for the company. They are planning on selling the video games unit to a company called Scopely Inc. And by the way, Scopely Inc. is wholly owned by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. So you can see Middle Eastern companies, Middle Eastern bodies from Qatar and India to Saudi Arabia making big investments. The video game industry is a really, really big one. From there, we move to Hollywood. President's Day holiday, of course, the US markets were closed on Monday. Captain America Brave New World, the fourth one, debuted to the tune of $100 million in the US. Now, that's the US domestically. Globally, it came out, it did another 92 million internationally. So if you add them together, it did about $192 million globally. In Nigeria, Film One Entertainment put out a tweet saying that it debuted to the tune of 135 million naira. Now, here's the thing, and this is where I need to talk about the lack of transparency in our country, right? Which is not just at the feet of government. It also falls to the feet of the private sector. Captain America costs $180 million to make. That is the production costs alone. When you now go to the marketing costs, it costs another $100 million just to market the film. So between the two of them, that's $280 million. So when you see $100 million that they made in the US and $100 million around the world, this movie needs to make at least $380 million. In fact, just say $400 million just to break even. It's got to now do another maybe 500, 600, 700 million in order to actually turn a profit. Which brings me to Nollywood. And this is something I've brought up several times. Nollywood lacks cost transparency. Every time a new movie comes out from a Nollywood studio, they always tell you how much revenue the movie made. But when you make a film, you have production costs, the cost of paying the director, the actors, the editors, the team that travels, the fees you pay to the states to film. That's production. You now go to marketing, you pay for TV slots, radio jingles, billboards, newspaper placements, and so on and so forth. All of that adds up. In order to determine how profitable our films in Nollywood are, we need to know the production. Every time I bring this up with a studio, they never want to talk about it. And it's a gap because it doesn't tell us exactly how well these films are doing. You can't just tell us revenue and not tell us the cost. I have to give my flowers to This Day newspaper and the Bureau of Statistics figures from yesterday. I'm going to have to admit, I was a little hesitant in talking about it because the Bureau had not brought out the numbers. This Day and the business writers absolutely nailed these figures because the Bureau released the numbers later on. I have to state this as a fact. There was no media publication on planet Earth that had these figures. Not Bloomberg, not CNN, not BBC, not anyone, not the Financial Times. So credit to the writers. Prince Nduka Ogbaigben, I remember he was speaking somewhere a while back and he said that journalism is about your sources. When you believe in your sources and they are accurate, fantastic work from the folks at this day. And so the Monetary Policy Committee meeting starts today. We will get the outcome. We're looking forward to hearing from Governor Cardoso as to what the inflation outlook is for the Bureau for the CBN and the MPC.
Couple of things. Okay, for discussion, will interest rates come down at this correct MPC given the rebased inflation?
You see, one data point is not enough for you to say you have to start cutting interest rates. Now, to be fair, our real rate of return is now positive because you have 27.5% MPR and now inflation at 24. So, yeah, but I think they will hold. I still think they will hold because you need to have a trend of inflation figures in order to now determine whether or not you're going to start cutting because prices are still elevated.
There's not going to be cutting of interest rate.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they could surprise us.
They could surprise us,
but
nothing soon.
Yeah.
As regards transparency in Nollywood, I mean, I think some, in all fairness, do disclose. And you know,
I haven't heard though.
No. I think some do disclose. In fact, but it's not like a table thing. They tell you in an interview or something, we spend XYZ on the movie, and we also spend XYZ on the marketing. So it's, yes, when you now talk about the studios, some of also the studios might not want to disclose, but they have to. But I think what you should also do to get that data point is, if we can get exit reports from studios like Inkblot, which I know that are funded by a lot of financial partners and the likes, you should be able to get those numbers. Because definitely it will be in their report.
Rufai, why does it have to take work? You just disclose the numbers. How much it costs to make your film?
So the truth is,
it shouldn't be work.
Why it has to take work here is, I mean, some arguments they might give you is that, fine, probably it's not a publicly quoted company, number one. The second argument is also really because how data has not been advanced in Nigeria. It's just like when you write a letter to a government agency, Freedom of Information discloses data. It's not supposed to be a big deal. But a lot of people want to hide things, which is not supposed to be the way forward.
It's not.
So I think what we should do is, Rotus, you know Inkblot, you know
Film One
and all of that. We can write a letter to them. Let's even make things official.
They won't. They don't answer.
Let's even write it first. And let's even make it official. Because also we're trying to track this data set to be able to see the growth of our industry that we want to celebrate.
So, are Nollywood films profitable? Does anyone know?
Okay, so
I can't tell you for sure.
No,
I don't know.
I think some are.
I don't know.
I think Funke Akindele has turned some good profit. But I don't know how much he used to produce the movie.
So in truth, another source is Bank of Industry.
Yeah.
Because Bank of
Because
Industry also fund in total, and they also get a number of applications. However, the Nigerian factor. Sometimes the numbers are inflated for production to get the grants or loans from these, and I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth.
That's the truth.
And so they inflate the numbers, but so that's why they cannot review their actual costs. Because you know why? Sorry, because you know why? If they review the costs, BOI would be like, but you collected more money from us.
Right.
But then they would also reduce the number of profits or the profits that they are announcing to people. So it's difficult for them. My brother is in production, so I have an idea of how much money. The profit margin is not a lot. They spend, in fact, the advert budget alone, goes up to 10 million depending on the size of the movie. So I can imagine for Funke Akindele, for instance, posting a 1.6 billion naira, this is how much they made. The amount of, just look at her marketing, for instance.
It's a lot.
The amount of money, and then
she made a song.
Look at the array of stars. So in my mind, I'm calculating how much is she making? But I know she had backers and all that. So you're absolutely right. Initially, when you see these numbers, I'm excited because remember that the movie industry, cinema-going culture had to recover from COVID. And so it's great to see that they're recovering. I'm glad to see these numbers. But in addition to the Captain America, let me also say our Nigerian people did well. Real Love was in cinemas over the weekend. They were the biggest Nigerian Nollywood movie I think they made 99.2 million naira.
Well, how much did it cost? That's the problem.
Summer Rain cost 41.4 million naira over this weekend as well. Valentine also helped it significantly because they're love stories. But you're absolutely right. Until we get the number of production, don't deceive young people who want to go into Nollywood and make them think that it's very lucrative. When I know that it is. When I heard his budget for a movie, I was like, "What? Is this how much you're spending?"
But these people do not really make money off the
you're right.
Ticket sales.
Yes.
It's not off the movie they make money. These stars, when they become stars, they make money off endorsements. They make money off other things.
So it's not profitable, right? So that means it's not profitable to be an actor.
But the question is, it's just like media. What are the margins in media in Nigeria? They're very lean.
You mean like for what we do?
Yes, but how do you make extra money? Gigs, MCing and all of that. So that's the way it is also in business.
So what it
does is visibility.
It
gives you visibility. So please, let's not discourage Joes.
For the actors, the producers,
for the
directors.
No, for the producers too. They get a lot of visibility. I mean, we have seen. Okay, look at Kunle Afolayan. Look at the immense visibility he's gotten from moving. And some of them make money. And guess what? The visibility can also help them get private documentary gigs. The visibility can also help them get partnerships. So they make a lot. Some of them are in the space. So the first point it gives you is the visibility. Well, that's just it.
Prof.
Well, I was just going to say that there's a system thing. There's a correlation between transparency of any process and input of partners, finance, and other kind of collaboration. If investors come in, the system will become more transparent. It is opaque because it's privately funded. But the other thing is that when people like investors.
I know Inkblot gets
but not, that's one, generally speaking.
Even most of them get
there's a lot of little production, sole traders, somebody producing, writing, and doing by themselves. That's the general thing. But the other point is this, though. If people like Rotus are interested in their figures, you need to find a way to persuade them that it is in their interest to disclose this so that investors and others can see and come and put money in there. If you go to them saying, I want your figures because I want to expose you that you're not really making money, that they're just going to block you out.
Good point, Prof.
So we need kind of persuasion
I think BOI should release, at least let's get that kind of, even if it may not be fully accurate, BOI can give us a snapshot.
No, but I think they have reports.
So
it should be their reports. The kind of investment they
need
to break it down.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you.